Welcome to our latest video with Derby Telegraph chief football writer Steve Nicholson. Simon Dawkins is back training with the Rams this week ahead of their Easter doubleheader. How important will that be for Derby County?
Yeah, I mean it's vital at this stage of the season. 4 games left, and then the playoffs it's looking like as well. So it's vital to have everybody available. You know, if you could get people fit, and it was always going to be a double boost this Easter weekend. Jamie Ward came back last weekend from a hamstring problem, so he's been training this week as well. So he is in the squad again. But Simon Dawkins had a growing problem. He was out for a number of weeks. He's trained this week. I spoke to Steve McLaren about him, and he's delighted to have him back. He's made a key contribution this season since joining the Rams, and so is Jamie Ward. The biggest plus is when you have your players available, and when we've seen this with Derby County this season, it's not just the 11 that start. The number of times this season that Steve McLaren has been able to turn around, look at his bench when things aren't going well, and make changes. And if you've got the players there to do that, it's massively important. In recent seasons, Derby haven't always had that. You know, I remember a bad evening, one of many away at Cardiff, where Nigel Clough, a couple of injuries during the first half, Derby were losing as well, and he turned around and looked at the bench, and really there wasn't a great deal there that he could change it or even spark something. That's not been the case this season. Conor Salmon's come off the bench, done really well. Jamie Ward, Patrick Bamford, Johnny Russell, Simon Dawkins himself, they've all been on the bench at various stages and come on or started games. Jeff Hendrick's been able to come on and do it. George Thorne's come into the side, having been kept out by John Eustace. He's been terrific as well. So to have those options available is going to be massive for Derby, not only this Easter weekend, but in the rest of the games and then the playoffs.
Steve, Rams are virtually in the playoffs, but a win on Friday night at Doncaster Rovers should definitely do it.
Yeah, I mean, Good Friday's games, you know, there's some in the afternoon. Burnley are at Blackpool 5:15, and then Derby are live on telly at 7:30 that night. So kind of fractured programme of fixtures, and some play Saturday. But the thing is, they're 11 points ahead of 7th place, 12 points left to play for. A win at Doncaster, no matter what anybody else does, cements their place in the playoffs, and that would be great if they could get it out of the way this weekend. You know, we don't want it to kind of keep going over and over. It's looked that way for a while now. Get it out of the way this weekend will be fantastic for them. Doncaster though need points as well. I mean, this is the interesting thing at this stage of the season. Most teams need points, whether it's at the bottom, whether it's hoping for playoffs, whether it's chasing second automatic place. And Doncaster need points, and knowing Paul Dickoff, and Paul was here on loan as a player under Nigel Clough. He's a competitor. You know, he's fiercely competitive. You know, when you talk about players wanting to win or managers wanting to win, there's no one wants to win more than Paul Dickoff. That's the nature of him, and it's the nature of the way he played as well as a striker. Never gave defenders a minute's peace. So knowing Paul, and I spent a bit of time with Paul while I was here and talking to him, and I know his outlook and that type of thing. And he's done, you know, he's taken on the Doncaster job, and you know it's a tough job, and he's kind of digging in, and his task will be to keep them up this season. So we'll look at the game. They were a bit unfortunate to lose at Ipswich in their most recent game, but he'll look at this game and think, right, it's a chance for us to get points as well to help our position. So it won't be straightforward, but Derby I think have shown, if they're right, if they start with the right tempo, if their football's right, if everything about it's right, they're capable of winning anywhere in this division.
Jake Buxton this week picked up an award. Derby County supporters clubs chose him as their player of the year. A deserved accomplishment.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, he's. I don't think there'll be a more popular winner of the award than Jake. He's been absolutely terrific this season. He arrived here from Burton Albion on a free transfer in 2009. Some people questioned the signing. Some people felt he probably wasn't up to it. Would he be able to make an impact at Derby County? I think he's proved all those people wrong. You know, he's had bad luck with injuries along the way. He's played 126 times for Derby. This season, he's been, for me, the most consistent defender this season. And there's been some good ones as well. Craig Forsyth has barely put a foot wrong for a while. Richard Keogh, Andre Wisdom's done ever so well since he's come in. But Jake has been excellent. Everything about Jake, you know, he's honest, he's determined, he wants to win. You know, he's got great affection for the football club, and I'm delighted to see him doing as well as he has done. The Player of the Year poll this year, I mean, is very interesting because Jake, as I say, it's difficult to argue with him as a winner, and but there've been others great performances this season. Chris Martin, outstanding. You know, absolutely outstanding. The whole Derby team and the way they play is centred around what Chris Martin does. Not just his goals, but the way he plays. He allows Derby to play like they've played this season. So that's a massive contribution. Craig Forsyth at left back, ever present, done terrifically well. Craig Bryson, goals from midfield. You know, Craig's won the award I think 2 seasons ago. No one would argue if he got it. You know, so Jake is you know, right up there with those, and fans will all have their different opinions whether, you know, he's a player here or not, but it's a difficult one to argue against. The supporters have said he's their player here, which is fantastic. We'll see who wins the Jack Stamps award as well, because that's the other award, of course. And my own personal, you know, I will be revealing next week, I think, in the Derby Telegraph, who my player of the year is going to be. But as I say, there's a collection there of 3 or 4 names. You know, I've got to mention Lee Grant as well, by the way. You know, he's had a super season. I think he's got better and better as the season's gone on. So there are a collection of 3, 4, 5 players, in my thoughts, for player of the year. And as I say, I'm kind of kicking that around at the moment, and hopefully next week I'll be able to tell people who it is.